Hey guys, what's going on? Blaine back for another Netflix review, and today I'm going to be talking about Love and Leashes. Love and Leashes is a Korean romantic comedy that tells the story of two office employees, the first being Jung Ji-woo, a woman who struggles to make an impression at her workplace, and the second being Jung Ji-hoo, a model employee newly hired to the company who hides an interesting secret. Ji-woo accidentally discovers his secret in the form of an obsession with BDSM, but doesn't rat him out to other employees. Instead, she becomes more curious about him, owing to a crush that she has on him at the beginning, and the two agree to a contractual relationship as partners in consensual play, leading to the two eventually building a romance. I don't know anything about BDSM, so I apologize if I get any of the terminology wrong in this video. Now, I have to admit, I was a bit skeptical on how this movie would turn out due to its subject matter, but I ended up being surprised by how charming it was, thanks to the chemistry of its two leads. To start, Ji-woo is a great protagonist to lead the story with. She's portrayed as a bossy type of woman who wants to get her way, but she doesn't explore her dominant side due to being put down by her male boss and being compared unfavorably to other male co-workers. Although the issue of workplace sexism is a bit stereotypical in its approach, it still helps get the point across that Ji-woo is missing something in her life that she needs to be able to make it interesting again. Despite her problems, she maintains an air of confidence in what she wants that endears her character to the audience. This becomes more evident when she's eventually paired up with Ji-hoo. By himself, Ji-hoo is considered the perfect employee and is revealed by other female employees at the office for his good looks. This designation puts him at odds with his secret, which threatens to unravel his job and personal life. He's a sympathetic character because he tries his best to be recognized as normal by his peers, yet he has to reconcile with who he is as someone who's into BDSM play, which is something considered not normal by society at large, and seeing him come to terms with this throughout the movie made for an engaging experience. Once the two begin their BDSM relationship, that's when the movie really kicks off. The concept of domination versus submission is explored, in which Ji-woo, the dom, orders around Ji-hoo, the sub, and inflicts pain on him during regularly scheduled play sessions. While it is bizarre at first glance, it became more compelling as the characters began to evolve through the relationship. Both of the characters get something out of the contract they've established. Ji-woo is able to unleash her work frustrations onto someone else, while Ji-hoo is finally able to fulfill his cravings for being dominated by another person after so much time spent being looked up to. In turn, this leads to the characters changing in a number of ways. For example, Ji-woo ends up becoming more confident at work as she decides what she and her fellow employees will get to have for lunch, while Ji-hoo doesn't take charge quite as often anymore. It was great to see the two change as characters in meaningful ways while staying true to who they were from the beginning. Not everything goes well for the two though. Ji-hoo's past eventually catches up with him as an ex-girlfriend frequently calls him out of spite to ridicule him for his BDSM kink, and he starts to get drawn back into a negative space while trying to save face in front of Ji-woo. Conversely, Ji-woo still has feelings of wanting something more with Ji-hoo outside of what they do together with BDSM, yet Ji-hoo can't bring himself to date or fall in love on account of what happened between him and his ex. These irreconcilable differences create natural conflict in which both characters do their best to fulfill each other's needs, but find it difficult to do so. As someone who only knows a little about BDSM, I was actually surprised with how normal it was in its depiction, if that makes any sense. There are clearly defined boundaries, and the sexual aspects of the activity are not glamorized or exaggerated in any way, as it's more or less shown to be a kink in the same vein as role-playing. This is a good thing because it allows more focus to be placed on the story at hand as opposed to ridiculous situations, which this movie could have easily fallen victim to due to its status as a rom-com. The movie takes its time building toward the more extreme aspects of BDSM, and it never feels excessive at any point, which I appreciated. Sometimes, however, the movie takes itself a bit too seriously. The drama surrounding Ji-woo's desire for a genuine relationship flounders a bit in its pacing, and Ji-hoo bases too much of his identity on his interest in BDSM. The story can get pretty heavy-handed with these elements, and a little more comedy to lighten the mood would have gone a long way. Now, that's not to say that there isn't any comedy in this movie at all. There's some delightfully awkward situations that come out of the two trying to hide their dom-sub relationship from the general public, and I actually found some of the slapstick in this movie to be pretty amusing, usually when it involved Ji-hoo stumbling around his environment in some way. But the drama does overpower most of the more lighthearted aspects, which can lead to tonal clashes happening in certain scenes. One character that sticks out in my mind is Hyemi, who takes it upon herself to investigate BDSM and what it's all about, and I'm still not really sure why she did. There's a whole angle involving her character that doesn't contribute to the story in any meaningful way. It's meant to show the darker side of BDSM and how many men take advantage of it, but it only serves to distract from the main narrative and doesn't feel consistent with the tone that's established throughout the rest of the movie. It's better when things are focused purely on the two leads, like when Ji-Woo gets jealous at Ji-Woo for spending time with other colleagues. Seeing the movie explore the physical and psychological aspects of the relationship in these subtle ways was much more rewarding instead of the more outlandish ones with Hayemi and other characters. And like I said before, there's not so many of these crazy scenes in the movie anyway. I know I'll be repeating myself in saying this, but I liked how ordinary the portrayal of BDSM turned out to be in this movie's case. It never came off as over the top or silly, and simply explored an interest that many people share behind closed doors while exploring other themes in the process. Most of these are surface level in presentation, like assigned gender roles and power in relationships, but they go well together with the main theme of accepting oneself and staying true to your beliefs regardless of what others think. The main characters explore who they are through each other, and thus are able to understand each other better than anyone else could. The ending was a bit rushed, as secondary characters jump to conclusions and plot threads resolve themselves a bit too conveniently, but the destination never impacts the significance of the journey this movie undertakes, and it helps that it's bolstered by a pleasant electronic soundtrack that matches the tone of every scene, combined with surprisingly creative cinematography. Overall, Love and Leashes is an interesting romantic comedy that is equal parts entertaining and thought-provoking, examining a niche community and interest and applying it to the main character's struggles in establishing a personal identity. If you like romantic comedies and you're looking for one that features a sexual topic in a completely different light, I think you'd enjoy checking this one out. There's some issues with its comedic and dramatic presentation, but it remains a unique take on the rom-com genre, thanks to the captivating characters, thematic approach to the story, and a variety of fun scenarios. While I can't say the topic of BDSM interests me in the slightest, the romance in this movie is something that I think everyone can enjoy. What did you think about this movie? Did you agree with how BDSM was presented in it, or do you think there were some parts about it that could have been improved upon? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways guys, that's going to wrap up my review of Love and Leashes. Thanks for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed it, and as always stay tuned for the next part, where next time I review the French sci-fi comedy, Big Bug. Bye bye!